morning children, Sairam. Now today in history we shall proceed with the next part of our lesson number 4, that is economic development part 4. Now in our first three parts children, we have learnt about how India adopted mixed economy after our independence, and in order to increase the economic level of the country, various plans were implemented. There were 5 years plans were implemented, and accordingly provisions and schemes were made in those plans under the rule of different prime ministers. And these various schemes and provisions were made considering the increasing the economy at national level. And accordingly there were new economic policies were also implemented. So we shall study about that in detail today. Now, new economic policy. Now children, the year 1991 is considered to be as one of the most important in the history of modern India. After the 10th general elections, P.V. Narasimha Rao, he became the Prime Minister of India, and Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Finance Minister. He adopted the new economic policy of linking India's economy with global level. So India's economy was decided to link at global level in order to increase the economy of our country by means of globalization. And so accordingly, for these various fundamental changes were brought about in the Indian economy in tune with global mainstream. So in accordance with the global mainstream, various changes were brought about in the Indian economy. And as there were changes brought about during this period, we could see that India was facing lots of economic crisis, as India had to face many challenges. Challenges like poverty, unemployment, at the same time famine and drought were also the situations which India had to face during that time. Now, before the rule of P.V. Narasimha Rao government took charge, we could find that Chandrasekhar was the Prime Minister. Now, during his tenure, the rate of inflation, that is the rise in price, was about 17%, whereas the increase in the economic growth rate was about only, the growth rate had come down to about 1.1%. So it will find that the economic growth rate was not increased as according to the rise in prices. So as a result, India also had to suffer a lot, as because India had only foreign exchange reserves only enough last for about imports for a week was there, and so it could not meet with the demands or the loans to be paid, and also the interest that is to be paid for that. So as a result, they decided in May 1991, the government had tried to control the situation. A decision was being taken wherein they decided to sell some of our gold reserves, and also by mortgaging some of them. So accordingly, the loans could be repaid, or the interest could be paid. Before the Chandrasekhar government, VP Singh government had started had incurred a liability of over 10,000 crore rupees. So there was a liability of about 10,000 crore rupees on the Indian economy, and by waiving of all the taxes of the all the loans of the farmers. So accordingly, we could find that so much debt India had to pay it back, and wherein the economic condition was not as such. So the proportion of internal loans, if we compare with the central government and the state government together to the gross domestic product, was only about 55%. In 1980-81, foreign loan was about 2,350 crore dollars, and later it increased in 1991. You can see that 1980-81 it was 2,350 crore dollars, whereas in 1990-91 it has increased to about 8,380 crore dollars. At this time, India had foreign exchange reserves of only 100 crore dollars, and so they also had the background of increased oil prices due to the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq. So that is also which India had to face the increase in price of oil because of the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq, and it became difficult for India to raise a loan. Even the non-resident Indians, they started withdrawing their deposits in foreign currency from India. So it was causing a total loss to economic loss to India. In order to overcome these loss, there were certain remedies to be remedies were suggested. Now what were those? So P.V. Narasimha Rao, he appointed Dr. Manmohan Singh as the finance minister, and so that he would help out to find a way out of this situation. And Dr. Singh undertook many corrective measures in order to make India come out of all this economic crisis, and the situation seemed to be changing, and they began to change. So what were the measures that he had taken? He removed the restrictions on foreign investments. So there won't be any restrictions on foreign investments wherein all could easily participate and the income could be gained on a larger scale. He also restricted the license system to 18 industries. So to 18 industries, about license system was restricted, and so in view of increasing losses in the public sector, he opened the public sector for investments by private sector. So as the public sector seemed to be going into loss, he opened the private sectors into public sector, wherein the private sector would be benefited as well as the public sector, wherein the people would also get employments. So in order to bring the share market under control, he established the Securities and Exchange Board of India. So to bring the share market under control, Securities and Exchange Board of India was established by Dr. Manmohan Singh in 1992, and also National Stock Exchange was computerized. So accordingly, he had taken all such measures wherein it would prove helpful in order to increase the economic level of the country. He gave priority to remove the specter of recession. So there should not be any kind of recession. People should not be employed. Everybody should get equal job opportunities was being instructed. The foreign investment started growing as he has removed all the restrictions on foreign investment. So foreign investment started growing during the first tenure of Dr. Manmohan Singh as the finance minister. India could recover the gold mortgage with the Bank of England. So whatever the gold was mortgaged with the Bank of England, India could recover that gold from them. And the government got the support of the capitalist as well as the middle class. So as the private sectors were allowed to invest in the public sectors, so government got the support of both the middle class as well as the capitalist. As the government opened up the telecom sector, mobile phone services started all over the country. So as the telecom sector was also open to all, so mobile phone services was started. So it became easy to get connected to people and carry out the transactions even in the foreign countries. And later, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he signed the agreement with World Trade Organization and launched the policy of privatization, liberalization and globalization. So Dr. Manmohan Singh, he signed the agreement with World Trade Organization and launched the policy of privatization, liberalization and globalization. Now what were some of the objectives of the World Trade Organization? In 1995, India became a member of the World Trade Organization. The organization had following objectives. Now what were the objectives? To free trade between countries. So there should be free trade between all the countries without any kind of restrictions or discriminations. And also to put an end to all those discriminatory laws, restrictions, rules and policies that are hurdles in the way of international free trade. So as we said, discrimination means developed countries, underdeveloped countries, developing countries. No such kind of discrimination should be there in the rules and policies, because that may cause hurdles in the way of international free trade. Also, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, that is GATT, existed on the international level before the WTO came into being. So, before the World Trade Organization came into being, GATT, that is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, had existed on the international level, and it regulated commerce. So in India, there were opposed extreme views about the World Trade Organization. So there were many extreme opposed views about the World Trade Organization, but still India decided to take the membership of WTO. Now the provisions of the World Trade Organizations are regarding grants, import-export, foreign investment, agriculture, technology and services. So these provisions were in the World Trade Organization, which would further be helpful for us to carry out the trade. The sectors of electricity, water transportation, education and health rapidly commercialized since India became a member of the World Trade Organization. So as India became a member of the World Trade Organization, the sectors of electricity, water transportation, education and health rapidly commercialized. Now, as per the various reports of World Trade Organization, India has made a considerable improvement in different areas. Now, in which areas have India made improvements? Like reduction in the below poverty level. So, BPL, the below poverty level has reduced. Then population was under control. Decline in infant mortality and availability of facilities regarding drinking water and wastewater management. So more of facilities of drinking water and water management were available, and India had made a good progress as such. Now, India signed the South Asian Preferential Trade Agreement, that is SAPTA, along the lines of the World Trade Organization. India removed the import restrictions on several commodities for SAARC. So, SAARC countries. So, India also removed the import restrictions, as restrictions for foreign investments were removed. Accordingly, several commodities of the SAARC countries were also imported without any restrictions. And India also gave discounts on import duties. Then India opened up the insurance sector to the private and foreign investments. So even insurance sector was open for the private and the foreign investments. So children, in this lesson we have learnt about how India have adopted mixed economy, how various 5 years plans were implemented by the help of a planning commission, and accordingly those plans were changed after every 5 year. New changes were brought about in each 5-year plan depending upon the situation during that time. So in this way we have learned the journey of India's economy from mixed economy to globalization. So we have also seen that when with the help of the finance minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, we could bring about various changes in the economic sections, and accordingly from mixed economy India had journeyed through the way till globalization, which we can see now. So here we are ending with our lesson for the day, children. Thank you.